Our story starts with various scenes of a beautiful suburban neighborhood. A young girl named Emily is told by her mother that she shouldn't be skateboarding without her helmet. The girl's skateboard rolls down the driveway and she runs after it as we see a pickup truck driving down the street. The girl's mother yells for the little girl, who proceeds to run into the street, but the pickup truck swerves just in time to miss her but smash into a concrete pillar. The woman asks if the guy is okay, and he initially says yes, but then we see he's pretty bloodied up, so she invites him inside her house. As she's cleaning his wound, the guy kind of flirts with her. She initially rejects the flirting, letting him know that she's married, but then she looks at the blood and changes her tune. She invites him over to the kitchen, and as they make out, you see her sprout fangs and bite him. She then drains the rest of the blood into the sink. This is the first thing you see on this series, and it's an absolute shame it only lasted one season. Especially with the vampire housewife being played by Rhona Mitra, who just killed it as the most recent leading lady of the Underworld franchise at the time. Next, we see a guy and his family driving up to the gate of the property. They're introduced to the security guard as the Monahans. The man of the family, Nick, is a former Chicago police detective who has moved to the community to be their new police chief. The family gushes at the huge mansion they apparently got for free for him taking the job. Back with the woman, we see her in the shower, wiping off the blood from her face and crying, apparently about what she's done. We then see her putting lots of sunblock on her skin, but as she gets up, she's burned as the sun hits her leg, telling her the hard way she missed the spot. We're then shown the blister it left. After sending his kids off to their fancy new school, Chief Monahan reports to his first day at work where he meets officers Marcus and Lee. He's shown that basically every inch of the neighborhood is under surveillance. Lee mentions that some of the cameras went down the day prior, but it's probably nothing, but Marcus interjects that prior to the cameras going down, it caught the pickup truck accident from the day before, and the driver is missing. The chief tells him to contact the city police to try to verify the whereabouts of the driver. At the Monahans, the vampire woman brings over some food for Mrs. Monahan. She introduces herself as Claire Radcliffe and says she and her husband live next door. Mrs. Monahan seems a bit scatterbrained and ends up breaking a cup. During their conversation, Claire is a bit shaken when she finds out that Chief Monahan is a former homicide detective. Back at the station, Marcus lets the chief know that the driver of the pickup truck has been reported missing, so the chief and Marcus head over to the Radcliffes. At the Radcliffes, we see Claire bottling the guy's blood. She panics as she hears her husband come home and quickly tries to clean up the mess. When he gets inside, he asks about why the garage door won't open, which she's locked because the guy's pickup truck is in there. She then hands him wine, but he stops and smells it. He then throws his wife and smells her breath, asking where it is, and she claims in the wine room. Just then, the police ring the doorbell. Nick questions the Radcliffes about the missing guy. After they leave, Mr. Radcliffe reprimands his wife for killing a guy and putting him in their freezer, reminding her that doing so could put her daughter in danger. That night, Marcus decides to take Lee and look for the truck. That's when we overhear the chief's backstory, where he was forced to retire from the Chicago PD for shooting an unarmed man. Back at the Monahans, the family enjoys the dinner Claire made, but Nick lets his wife know that he's suspicious of them after that day. We then see Claire head out of the gates, but we find out that it's a distraction. Mr. Radcliffe then sets up the body next to a lake outside of the property, and we see that he manipulates video to make it look like the guy left the property and it was attacked by wolves. Chief Monahan then reprimands the security guard for missing that until he tells that Claire Radcliffe gave him cookies before that point, resulting in him falling asleep. They roll the tape back and we see Claire Radcliffe looking for the camera, and Chief Monahan puts out a warrant for her, thinking that she drugged the security guard. The head of the community then walks in and tries to get the chief to scale it back a bit, letting him know that the people in that neighborhood moved there to get away from harassment and that he was responsible for getting him the job in the first place. Not sure what he thought was going to happen getting a homicide detective to be chief of police, but who needs logic? After he gets home, Lee calls Nick and lets him know the warrant was denied. Nick then decides to sneak over to the Radcliffe's house, which doesn't work out too well considering Claire has super vampire hearing, and stalks him. As Claire begins to fang out, her husband approaches Nick, clearly saving his life as Claire was probably going to eat him.
That's a good way to get shot.
Well, I believe you are the one trespassing.
I got reports of a prowler.
A prowler. In the gates.
Probably some kid, but we gotta check it out.
This way. The side gate's locked.
After Nick is let out, Mr. Radcliffe once again reprimands Claire for trying to eat the police chief. He suggests they leave the town. We then learn the couple was pretending to be human in order to raise their daughter, and Claire struggling with playing housewife and friends to people she wants to eat. She then tells him it's his fault for making her what she is. Back with the Monahans, Mrs. Monahan reprimands Nick for obsessing about the Radcliffes, pointing out that their family has been struggling after the negative publicity he got in Chicago and they needed the fresh start and he's ruining it. The next morning, the Radcliffes act as if nothing happened while in front of their daughter and take her to the town carnival. At the carnival, Claire gets into it with one of the town's herbalists, who are really witches, who knows what she is and calls her out for feeding on the guy. The other herbalist, who is the first woman's rival, promises to give Claire something for her cravings. Later that night, Nick gets a call that a body is found. The episode ends with the body being identified, but not as the guy Claire fed on, but as the gate's former chief of police, who is believed to have retired and moved to Mexico. Thanks for watching. If you like these recaps, please leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to know every time I update. There is now an option to be a channel member where you'll get access to exclusive recaps from late-night vampire catalogs like Showtime, Cinemax After Dark, USA Up All Night, and much more. If you want to help my channel grow, please check out my Patreon, where members can get exclusive content that can't be uploaded on YouTube, along with download options. Link is in the description.